Hi everyone, it's Angela here from She Simply Impacts, and we have an amazing panel of women here with me, and we are going to be covering another great discussion. And the topic today is called Navigating Your Healing Journey. And I've got with me Sabine Armbruster from She Momentum, who's one of our expert business coaches on the platform. I've got Mary Wong from Optimal Leadership and Coaching. She's also one of our experts. I have Birgitta Ravenhill, another expert on She Simply Impacts from Your Smartest Path. She's a leadership coach. And Mary is also a leadership coach, a book coach, a content coach. And I have also Nikki Furman from DV Safe Phone, who she's an amazing partnerships manager for that charity, and She Simply Impacts is now partnering with DV Safe Phone. And so today is hopefully a personal discussion all about healing and our personal journeys. So I'll hand it over to Sabina, who's going to be facilitating the discussion.
Great. Thank you, Angela, and welcome everyone. Thank you for being here today. As Angela said, we're here today to talk about the healing journey. Angela, I would like to actually start with you. You've chosen this topic. Give me a bit of a background as to what this topic means to you.
Sure. So obviously, She Simply Impacts framework is heal, emerge, thrive, impact. So we're here to facilitate a woman's journey of impact, which includes transformation, and healing is a part of that, because transformation involves healing. And obviously my own personal journey, of coming from a family which was impacted by mental illness, domestic violence and misogyny. There was a lot of when I started my adult journey into adulthood, that was the first thing I had to do, was start the healing process. And so healing has been a theme throughout my entire life. And what I've realized is that healing never stops. It's like a circular journey. And every time, I want to make another layer of impact or put myself out there, there's more layers of the onion of the healing journey, which, involves, things like negative self-beliefs. It involves healing fear. It involves healing limitations. It involves healing trauma and those sort of things. And so I've, trauma survivor. So
Yeah, there's a lot in that, and we'll unpack that a little bit as we go on. Mary, this is a topic that we talk about a lot, and I know this is a topic that's dear to your heart too, Mary. Tell me about your healing journey. Tell me what it means to you. What does the healing journey what is the healing journey to you?
The healing journey to me is giving myself space and permission to just be me, to take time for myself and do what it is that I need to do to make my life a space where I'm comfortable, where I'm happy, and where I feel like I'm having the impact that I want to have. I was in a position of not having any of that. I grew up in a family where the role of the woman, of the mother, of the housewife was to be there simply to serve everybody else in the house and to have no sense of your own value or your own worth. And that was how I was educated. That was the beautiful modeling that my mother gave to me, was this absolute selflessness. I was
At what point did you realize there was healing that had to be done?
Oh gosh, I was in pain most of my childhood, most of my young adulthood. And it wasn't until, I knew there was healing to be done, but I had no idea how to do it or what to do about it. I was in my early 40s when things came to a head. I had just had my second child, and I went through a very severe postnatal depression. There was a whole lot of other stuff in my background that needed healing, clearly. And I'd kept pushing it down through this sense of, you've got to be selfless, can't do it for yourself, that sort of thing. So I'd push it down, push it down, push it down until finally, after my second child, which was an IVF journey, so add in all those hormones and everything else that happened with that, I crashed. I came to a point where I not only wanted to leave myself, but in a moment of desperation, thinking, well, who would look after the children, thought I'll just have to take them with me. And that was the moment for me where I went, oh God, I really need help, because there's no way I would ever hurt my children. But that was the moment where I went, no, this stops, this ends here. I have to change this. It cannot continue like this. So that's when I started getting help. Yeah.
Wow, what a journey. Nikki, how about you? What does the healing journey mean to you? Have you been through something that you want to share with us where you've gone, I need to heal? And what did you do?
It was quite liberating, actually, answering the questions that were sent out to us. I don't think I've actually ever verbalized through words exactly where it all started and how long and how different each journey has been. So for me, this last week's actually been really it's been gut-wrenching. It's been I've cried, I've laughed, I've been proud of myself, I've destroyed myself over this. I think mine started very, very early on because I was actually born a girl. So that was not in my dad's eyes supposed to happen. So very early on, I didn't have a sense of worth. And so I had to fight from pretty well birth. And then my baby brother was born, and he was just my dad's apple's eye. So I became kind of like a boy. So I did all the boy things, and unfortunately, being around lots and lots of males, I didn't actually understand that men could be, well, young lads could be quite hurtful, and then had a horrific first boyfriend, which was DV. And so kind of like, I don't know, that set me up for a lot of setbacks in my life where, like I said, I was just looking back and reliving a lot of them. And I can honestly say that I think the first time that I thought that I needed to heal was similar to Mary. I had left my ex-husband. I was in a share house, and I wanted to leave the world. And that was when I realized that I needed help, but I didn't really know what help looked like. So I just carried on. And then from the carry on, I then met another man, and that has led me, Birgitta, to where I am now. So essentially was in a horrific domestic violence situation. And this time last year was on the run. So my life got that bad that my whole entire brain space stopped, and I ended up in hospital. And they pretty well diagnosed me with weakless leg syndrome. So it was where the brain paths just through fear, anxiety, just every single thing stopped in my body. So that was when I bought a van, and I started journaling. I started coloring in. I started getting back to my creative side and space. So I went to the rainforest, and I literally ran. I did 5,000 kilometers across East Queensland to get away from this perpetrator and find healing. So I think at the ripe old age of 54, which I am now, to only understand healing at 53 and understand that you have to recover from your past trauma and you have to find inner peace. I always knew I was strong, And I always knew that I could get through anything. My dad always said, never give up, and I've never, ever given up. But I never actually acknowledged each different path or each different area of my life where I was knocked down so hard and then got back up. It was just what you did.
Thank you, Nikki. Birgitta, the healing process or the healing journey is different for everyone. It is different for everyone. What does it mean to you?
Well, thank you, Sabine. That's an interesting question, and I actually had a little bit of a conversation with Angela this morning where I said, yeah, healing. What's my healing journey? Because I'm not coming from a lot of violence or things where I was mistreated. But having said that, I've gone through periods in my life where I wasn't really sure who I was, what my worth was. And especially when I was a child, and I can relate, Nikki, to what you say, my father didn't say, I'd rather have a boy, but I would rather have been a boy because boys had more freedom. And freedom is one of my real values in life. I always wanted to have choice. And I realized that I haven't always made the right choices. It took me until university to find a little bit more sense of self-worth as a girl, as a woman, because before that I prefer not to be seen as that. So that started that journey. And I realized that actually I should not hide that. So that was my first part of doing that. But I think that whole process where I rather be a boy was meant for me that I was really more looking to be like the boys, and I worked in an environment where there were mostly men. So even though I didn't want to be a man anymore, I was doing the same kind of things and I was doing better. I actually worked in an environment where one of my male colleagues at a certain point said to me and my female colleague, and we were together in a room, he said, you're the only two in this company, in this environment that have balls. So it was like literally going around. But I was working a lot, and I actually burned out and lost myself in the process because I was pushing myself too much and too much one side of myself, because I had not fully embraced that female side of myself where I was actually accepting myself completely. So the fact that I burned out and I had to go back really to square one because I was so tired that I couldn't even lift a finger, made me realize that I had to make smarter choices for myself and had to put myself first instead of constantly doing things for others. And even though I said it was doing it for myself, it wasn't. It was actually to be seen and to be seen as equal. So that was my start of my journey, basically, of healing. Yeah.
Angela, do you believe that everyone needs to go through a healing process or a healing journey?
I don't think no, like I don't think so. I mean, I think that it's a very personal journey. I mean, I'm not here to tell anyone what they have to go through or don't have to go through. So I suppose it depends how people view the world and how if you feel really happy within yourself and you feel that you're empowered and that, then, I guess, I don't know, but I just know for myself that I can only talk from my experience and what I've put out in the world. And I know that other women resonate with this. And so.
Angela, I love that answer. And the reason why I love that is because I don't want people to feel that you have to go looking for something when there is not something deep within you right now that you feel that you need to heal. So I love that answer. Now, if people do find that there is a journey that they need to go on to heal themselves of something, what are some strategies, Angela, that they can implement or that they can do to start that journey?
Sure. So I think the first journey is like reaching out and feeling comfortable to actually share what's really going on. Because the thing, if we're masking, then it means that, you know, we're not being authentic. And sometimes the reason people can't be authentic is because they don't feel safe, which comes back to our conversation about vulnerability last time. And they don't feel safe because there's been maybe some trust violation. And so I think that the first thing is to have, you know, networks or friendships or family, or reaching out to, you know, therapists or counselors, or somehow being able to be fully authentic in how you really feel and bring the mask down. So that's step number one, is talking to someone. It doesn't have to be a professional, but it can be someone where you feel you don't have to have a mask. And
Right.
that
Thank you.
itself is healing.
Mary, you as a leadership coach, you would come across probably a lot of people, or some people, that hide behind this leadership barrier or title, I guess, this manager title. How do you, or what do you do to help people be authentic and come out of themselves so that they can actually be true leaders? You know, that's a healing journey in itself, right?
Oh, it can be. It can be. For some people, like Angela said, you know, we're not here to tell anyone that they need a healing journey. And some people don't see themselves as needing a healing journey, but their behavior might be particularly abhorrent towards people around them. They might not communicate well. They might be displaying very arrogant behavior that puts other people down in that managerial position, thinking that they're doing what's required of them. No matter what our behavior is, there's always something behind it. There's always a reason that we do what we do. We live our life looking through filters, looking through you know, those glasses that we've put on, those goggles that we've put on as a result of the things that we've learned along the way. So a lot of people in those positions are wearing those goggles because they've also been given no other examples of how else to behave. And often it's just a matter of educating. The particular formats and things that I use, one of them is called conversational intelligence, and it has this lovely little tool called a conversational dashboard, which helps people to actually recognize where they're sitting in the space of their communications and the way that they deal with other people. It helps them to recognize it for themselves. And that, to me, is a really powerful thing to do, because I can tell you every day of the week that you're being arrogant, or you're being blunt, or you're not communicating well. You don't want to know about it, because you're in that space of, hey, I'm the boss, I'm someone special here. You don't get to tell me that. But when you look at that thing yourself and go, oh, that's what I'm doing, isn't it? That's where the power lies. And it's that moment of self-discovery in a space of non-judgment, because, you know, we all do things wrong. We all get stuff wrong sometimes. So if we go in there going, you know, I'm better than you because I don't behave like that, that doesn't make us any better than them at all. It actually takes us down. So if we go in a space of strength from openness and non-judgment, and just calmness in knowing and understanding that there's some little thing that's going on in that person's life that's created that pattern. And we're never going to help them to find that for themselves or to get out of that pattern if we go in with judgment. So we go in gently, we work with them, we help them to see it for themselves. And then once they've seen it for themselves, we help them to break it down and go, okay, how else can we do this? Instead of that, what else could we do that's going to turn this over? And that's really powerful when you can do that, people. Makes a huge difference.
Birgitta, what about you? In your role, what are some of the strategies that you might implement with people that you work with? If, let's say, someone's said that there's something they need to heal from, or they've got a challenge, a particular challenge in their life, what might you do to help them along the way?
Well, first of all, I think what has been said before is that if we're going on a journey of healing, I think one of the most important things is when somebody has a challenge, to make them realize that, because one of the things that very often happens is that we feel that we're the only ones that have the challenge, and it is not only when we're a leader. I mean, anybody, we feel that we're sort of alone in that, and giving them recognition and helping them to see that they're not the only ones, and it's not something that flaws them, it's not something that makes them less, but helping them see how they can navigate that challenge by letting them see how you can look at it from different perspectives, and how you can find, when you change your perspective, all of a sudden that what you're challenged with changes as well, because you find new insights, you find new solutions to how to handle that. And so taking it from there, and then step by step going to see and navigate with them. And I agree with Mary that we have to do that very gently, to make them see what they can do, and help them to make small steps that will help them to overcome. It's like eating an elephant. How do you do that? Bite by bite. You don't take the whole elephant on. So it's breaking it down, helping them to create that space where they feel well, and also to let them see how they have handled situations like that in the past, and how you can take that on to take on that specific challenge.
Thank you, Birgitta. Nikki, given the journey that you've been through, you now work with an amazing organisation, DV Safe Phones. How does that help people through, whether it's through their journey or after their journey? And what are some of the strategies that you would talk to people about?
So thankfully, DV Safe Phone works with agencies, so frontline people that are trained to actually have those conversations with a victim or a victim survivor. It is the only reason why I can do what I can do, because I'm one step removed. For Ashton and I, when the charity first started, the thought of only having 3 phones and 5 victims, we would actually have people living in our house. Like, we're just those kind of people. Our whole team would have 1,000, 2,000 people living with us to try and help them. We're very, very giving people. So yes, thankfully, I don't have to work firsthand to do that. But I guess on a day-to-day with beautiful friends of mine that are going through different situations, I think the ladies have really, really summed it up so well. Like, you've got to have a support network. You've got to set boundaries, mindfulness, journaling, and just small little chunks at a time.
Community seems to be something that everyone is bringing up today. Nikki, what did you do when you were going through your healing process, when you were traveling and you took off for those 5,000 kilometers? How did you stay part of a community? Or did you just need that totally?
No, that was actually quite difficult, because my person had got me to such a state that I actually couldn't trust anybody. I didn't trust my family. I didn't trust my best friends. I was even second guessing my workplace. So I was definitely in a fear of flight stage. And thankfully, I have 2 girlfriends, both who I grew up with in Darwin, and one lived south on the border of New South Wales, and the other one lived north. And there were 2 places where I knew he didn't know about. And so that's where I went. So through that, I was connected to then their groups, so their people, which was completely and utterly outside of my people. But at that stage, I couldn't connect with my people. I didn't know who to trust. So I think, you know, it's very liberating to know that you can go back to your grassroots, the girls that you literally grew up with when you were like Diddy, like went through preschool with, that you don't necessarily talk to every day, but you know that no matter what, they've got your back. And I think that's really empowering just there. Knowing that friendship spans a lifetime doesn't mean that you need to talk to each other on the phone every day.
And that's exactly right. And sometimes there can be years in between conversation, but community is community, right? Whether it's one person or two people, there's always somebody that you can ask. So we need to get good at asking, right?
That's, I think, the hardest thing, isn't it, really, is asking for help. I think, you know, where we grow up in this world where we just have to be legends all the time, day in, day out, you know, and like I said, we have to give ourselves to everybody else. And it was interesting what you just brought up before about whether or not you need to be on a healing journey. Like I said, for me, I was so good at forgiving what everybody did to me. And I'm talking, there's a lot of stuff that I needed to forgive people for what they did to me, that I just kept on moving on. So it's only just now that I'm going, yeah, that's cool. I forgive all those people and I forgive what happened to me, because I don't want to hold it and I don't want to have it in my psyche. But it's interesting to go, okay, well, cool. Now, how do I look back and give myself some time and some self-love? Because I'm not very good at loving myself.
Thank you. Angela, emotional and psychological support. How important is it to you when you're speaking to people about the healing journey?
Well, I mean, psychological safety and psychological and emotional support is everything. I mean, because we can't heal. I mean, you can do the activities like the journaling and the meditation and things like that, but there's a lot of, I think healing really catapults when it's done in a community. And obviously the community has to have psychological safety, or when the healing is done in a relationship, you know, like I've healed so much by being in a loving relationship with Kevin over the last 10 years. That's been like one of the most healing relations, you know, it's been life-changing. So it's very important. I mean, does
support mean safety?
Well, I mean, there's layers to support, isn't there? It depends how deep the healing trauma goes, you know, like, you know, like my sister's very supportive. She's, you know, when I was in a time of need, she's just transferred money into my bank account and things like that. But I wouldn't go to her for psychological or emotional support. Let's put it that way. I'm grateful, but there's, you know, so I don't resonate with everyone, and I don't trust everyone either. I mean, it's like what Nikki's saying. You know, people that are traumatized,
different people for different support, right?
Is a really huge thing. You can't heal unless you trust, and you've got to, you know, learning to trust ourselves is one of the biggest healing journeys of all.
Physical health, Angela, how important is that?
Physical health to me is really important. I mean, self-care is like, to me, that's foundational again. You know, like exercise, I meditate, you know, all those things. I have a community, I have friendships that I invest in. Physical health, you know, I mean, without your physical health, you know, it's pretty hard. And that's often something that people have to heal. People see, because healing journeys aren't just your emotional, it's also your physical journey. Like Birgitta went through a burnout. So then she had to heal and learn something about herself, what the boundaries were and what the triggers are, and then go and heal that. I mean, that's why we've got Renee in our community, you know, clinical nutrition, because there's so many. That's why the healing journey to me is circular and not linear, because there's always something that's going to happen, some adversity or something in your life that's going to require going back to foundation, which is healing.
Mm. Mary, talk to me about physical health. You have just been through a couple of years of, I'll let you explain.
So physical health, yeah, it is something that it gets into your psyche as well when you have problems with your health. But it's all intertwined, right? It's physical, emotional, social, spiritual, all of it intertwines, and it's all part of the same puzzle, and everything affects something else. So if there's one area that there's a problem, it can really affect you. Now, you hinted that I've been had a couple of years. Actually, it's been going on a really long time, but I've had 15 years of being incapacitated physically, with knees that were so severely osteoarthritic that they really needed to be replaced. But when I first went to see the doctor about them, he said, "You're too young. We won't do it for you now." I said, "Yeah, your knees are the knees of a 73-year-old, but you're way too young." And I was in my 40s at the time. And he wouldn't do anything, and so they said no. And so for 15 years I couldn't exercise well enough. And I've got the DNA of a family who has to exercise to keep the weight off. So I've always had weight issues. If I don't exercise, I always have weight issues, and I could not exercise to the point where it got the weight off. And people say, "Oh, it's just what you put in your mouth." That's not true. Like, because I know what I put in my mouth, and I know what I've always put in my mouth. Over the last couple of years, it's last March of last year, so it's about what are we now? Nearly August, so nearly 16 to 18 months since I had both knees replaced, and I feel like I've been let out of jail. Because honestly, the freedom that you have when you can get up and walk and do things is phenomenal. The issue, I guess, now is that 15 years of walking funny has done things to my body that I now have to live with, and I need to be very, very careful with maintaining my physical health. I work with Renee, actually. Renee changed my life. She's amazing. Honestly, if anybody is thinking about, wondering what they can do to help themselves, Renee, I absolutely recommend her as somebody who can help you work on a cellular level to really turn your body around. And she's done some great work with me. And it is, it's an ongoing journey of healing. That's how it goes. You can't have a problem with your body I'm 59 now. So I haven't looked after my body the way I should have, even though I am careful. I haven't looked after it the way I should have for many, many years. So it's going to take a few years to get it back to peak performance. I don't know if I'll ever get to peak performance, but I do my best. And
I have to say that in the last year and a half since the knee operations, this is what I've observed about Mary, and that is an openness spiritually, the ability to be able to help others a lot more, including working through things with children's health and things like that. There's just so much more capacity that I've seen. The way the business has grown since you've had the knee operations, I think there's so many different levels to the healing journey, isn't there?
Yeah, it was holding me back. It was holding me back in a huge way, and just to be able to not be held back, and the way that it squashes your psyche a bit when you're in a space of, no one wants to help me. And I was in that world of pain of nobody's prepared to help me. The funny thing was, when I finally went back to the surgeon that I'd seen 15 years ago, he looked at me and went, "Oh my God, how are you still walking? You should have been back to me 10 years ago." He couldn't believe that I'd put up with it. Sorry?
What's the lesson in that?
I had been to see other doctors. I think there was an assumption. Oh gosh, there's a whole lot of different things. There's an assumption made by me that he didn't actually want to do it, whereas he did want to do it, he just couldn't do it yet. There was progress in the industry as far as what's available for treating people. So what they used 15 years ago, they don't use anymore. They have very different products now. So what they used 15 years ago wouldn't have lasted me. I'd have been needing another lot of replacements now, and you don't really go to replacements in the knees. So, you know, there's things like that, but other things too, like because I'd gone to other doctors and they'd said no as well, I really believed that there was no hope for me. The one thing that I have learned, I guess, is to go back to the guy you saw first a couple of times, because doctors don't know how you're doing when you walk out the door, and you're not doing well when you struggle out the door, and you're not doing well and you don't go back. There's an assumption on their part, well, they must be doing all right. They haven't come back. They
That's an
do
interesting
expect
one,
you to
isn't
come
it?
back.
That's
They
interesting,
do.
the assumptions. And we all have those assumptions and those beliefs. But Gita, when you're going through a journey of self-doubt and overcoming fear, how can beliefs hold you back? I mean, how do you recognize that sometimes it's those assumptions that you made years ago or those beliefs that you made years ago? How do you overcome that? How do you recognize that it's time to overcome that, or that to get past that?
Well, I believe that it is very hard to do that by yourself very often because you're so stuck in your own beliefs. So there is that mirror that you have in front of you, and the thing that you see is the same all the time. I believe in the power of bringing people that are your support group, friends. For me, and you know, sitting around the kitchen table, that's the image I have, with good friends, people you can talk to and just talk about the things. And they will tell you, and they will give you their perspective, and that will change you in a way. And it might take a long time and it might not be easy. And some people, I know that some people are so stuck in their belief that it's very hard. But for me, that is the way to do it, to have somebody that you can talk to, you can trust. And sometimes it's even easier to talk to a stranger because you don't have to worry about what happens after that. You know, they can help you to give you that perspective as well.
Can you put that in the
But
category of self-care?
I think it is. And I'm very often, because I'm working on these discussion circles for women in leadership. And one of the things I'm very often thinking about is, why is it so important to have that? And I feel that it is a little bit, especially for women, it's a little bit in our genes to come together and to talk about things. It's what we've always done. If you look at tribes in the past, like centuries ago, it was always the women that were sitting together and talking together, looking out, working together, doing things together. And I think that we're at our strongest when we do that, when we embrace that community, that more or less tribal feel, where we are able to talk about the things that are on our mind, where we can share, where we know that we're not alone. And I very often share the fact, when I first had my first child, I felt very lonely. I really wanted that child, but I was in my late 30s when I got my child. So I had this working thing, and it was actually just after my burnout that I got pregnant. And I was so really, really happy on the one hand, but I had no idea what to do with it. And I was like really confused. And I had people around me that had like 5 kids or 3, and they all told me that I had to be on a golden clouds, you know. It's like, oh no, sorry, pink cloud. Everything is rosy, everything is fine. You have a child, it's great. And for me, it was like a dark, almost stormy cloud that was hanging above me, because I had no idea. And all of a sudden, and I just said before, freedom is one of my biggest values. That was taken away from me at that point in time, because I couldn't go to the toilet, couldn't go to the bathroom. Child was crying as soon as I went to do something for myself. So I didn't have that freedom. And then I went to a group. It was like a baby massage group. And there were all these women, and they had the same experience. And all of a sudden you realize that you're not alone. And that's so important for us as women, because when we need to have that feeling that we belong in a way. And that is very important for our healing as well. And that's why it's so beautiful that we can all come here together with She Simply Impacts and have all these wonderful women that are open to be there and to help each other to grow and to heal.
Thank you. Nikki, how important is self-care to you? Now on your journey moving forward, how important is it to you now?
It's pretty well my day-to-day practice now, self-care. I've actually started reading books, which is something that I haven't done for about 30 years. I go for walks on the beach. I swim in the ocean. I take time for me. I've put in strategies in place with my workplace where I don't have work emails on my phone. So all these things that from my former business world and then not-for-profit world, it's now more about life balance and then work, because I think that's the way that I'm actually best for performing for not just for DV Safe Phone, but with my partner and then with my children and my grandchildren, to be the best version of myself is for me to be happy. And so learning to be happy is on my big agenda at the moment too. And being like boy-like, and because I grew up with all the boys and like Birgitta in a really, really male-orientated world, and then my business was male-orientated, I struggle talking to women. And so, now I've joined some groups where, like you said, it is about just chatting. And it's really quite interesting. I mean, sometimes I'll zone out because I'm like, oh, what are they talking about? Especially if you go into dresses and shoes and what kind of label, because I'm just not kind of like that. But it's like, it's kind of refreshing, just learning about what girls talk about.
Do you have goals?
I used to have lots of goals. I've pretty well done all of those. Now my goals, just to be happy. Oh, really? Yeah, yeah. I used to have so many things on my mind and on my agenda for my life. I didn't think, based on the fact that I was born such a tiny weeny baby, I have quite a few issues with my body. I was told very early on that I wasn't going to live till I was 40. So I went about just, oh my goodness me, I've done all sorts. Anyway, so I think after that, and then reaching 50 and becoming a grandma, my whole entire life and thought process of who I am and what I should be. I don't even have a what I should be now. I think it's, I live in a camper trailer. I have a block of land. Yeah, I'm happy. I think less is more. And I think that's what I found. That is what I found from my running. I literally sold my apartment overlooking the ocean. I gifted everything to my children. And that was really a game changer for me, to literally have the clothes on my back and freedom to go wherever I wanted to, whenever I wanted to, and however that looked like. And like my kids call me a rich hippie.
You sound like you're at peace.
I feel like I'm on the road to that. Yeah, some days better than others, but yes, definitely. I'm definitely I'm in the right place at the right time for me moving forward. And yeah, thank you. I feel I am very much at peace now.
Nice. Angela, let's talk about goals. What do you think about goals? How important are goals when you're on a healing journey? How important were they to you?
Yes, well, I think that the goal, you know, you could, I mean, I love goals. I think, obviously, I think goals are empowering, and if they're the right goals, they sort of create a picture of my life in the future, and that, you know, is exciting. And so, if it's the right goal, then it makes me, you know, happy, and I love spending time inside of that possibility. Let's put it that way. And so that's why I love coaching, because coaching is all about creating that possibility. But I'm not attached to what the goal is, you know, just like what Nikki's saying, like her goals have shifted, and that's great. I'm just about helping people achieve their version of what success looks like, you know, and, you know, I have goals. I'm ambitious, and, you know, I want to make an impact, and I believe in community. I believe in everything we're doing here, and She Simply Impacts. And so goals are important to me, but it doesn't matter. Like when I used to coach at Carers Queensland, and I used to coach women that were anxious and very depressed and stuff like that, then I would really encourage them to take on their healing journey as a goal, you know, to actually take it on, their self-discovery as a goal. Like, you know, I mean, there's never a final destination, right? But we have to live into some possibility, and why not be in the driver's seat and create that possibility for how it looks for us? And, you know, to me, that's fun.
Mary, how about you? What role do goals play in your life or have played in your healing journey?
Goals and I have a very interesting relationship. Sometimes we're the best of friends, and other times we're the biggest of foes. And it's funny because as a coach, you know, we're supposed to all buy into this goal setting thing, and hey, you must have your goals set, and they've got to be smart and specific and measurable and attainable and da da da. And you know, clearly, yes, they do need to be measurable and attainable. If they're not, you know, how do you know you've achieved them? That's if you'll spend your whole life focusing on a goal. For me, my goals are more global. Personally, my goals are more global. My goals are more around values. So if rather than saying, you know, I must achieve this specific thing at this rate by this date on this way, I look at it more that I live my life focusing on these principles and values which are important to me. And that's how I work with my clients as well. I always ensure that I'm working to, I guess, their map of the world. I mean, that's a coaching terminology that we like to use. And what it means is that for every person, the things that are most important are the things that are most important for them. They're unique and individual for that person. And if we're not working in a way that works for that person, then it's not going to work for that person. So we can't force our belief systems on someone else. Some people don't work well with goals. Some people work beautifully with goals. For me, the real power knows in understanding yourself and understanding what it is about you that makes the difference for you. So if you know that you're somebody who works towards achieving a value rather than somebody who works towards achieving a specific materialistic output, then that's how you set your pathways. I talk more about pathways than I do about goals when I work, because it really is about understanding whether you're on path for what you want to be, that person that you want to be at the end of, you know, at the end of your days. We've only got a limited number of days. And if we can live the pathway that gets us to where a place where at the end of those days we look back and we go, that was a great ride. I did everything I wanted to do. I achieved what I wanted to achieve, and I've left a legacy. For me, that's what's important. Might not be for someone else. So I always work in their space.
I love that you said live the pathway. Love that. Birgitta, how about you? You've had a lot of changes. You've moved countries. You've gone through your own healing journey. How have goals played a role in all of that for you? Were you a goal setter? Did it work for you?
Well, I think I'm leaning towards Mary a little bit, that sometimes they're really great and sometimes they don't work. I think for me, the things that I have achieved in my life and that make me feel like being successful and fulfilled and everything were most of the times very deep felt things that sometimes I couldn't even put them in words. Like, for instance, coming to Australia was never my goal. I knew that I wanted to, I would really, really love to live abroad. I had no idea how to do it, how to generate that. But I think that when you have that deep ingrained feeling that is something that you want, that at a certain point opportunities come in your path, on your way, and it's for you to see them and to sort of embrace them and to go for it. And then, of course, once you do, you have to set some goals to get there. That's true, but it's seizing the opportunities that are there and seeing them. And I think for me, I've always lived by the principle that I want to be open. I want to be open for the opportunities that are around me. Which makes it sometimes hard to really set very clear goals because they will put you on a linear path. So I do that, but then I deviate constantly. But if it's something that I really want, if it's really aligned with my purpose and what I really desire in life, I'll get back to it one way or another. So it's good to deviate around it. And, you know, very often one of the things that we forget when we set goals is that we are the ones that set them, unless you work for a company that sets goals for you, but we're the ones that set them. So we're also the ones that are able to change them. And I think that's very important to remember, because you can't fail. If you don't reach a goal, you're not failing. There's just something else that came on your path that deviated you from it.
Sounds like there's a bit of a trust in the process, or trust in the universe.
Absolutely. Well, and I think one of the most important things is that whatever you set as goals or what you want to achieve, it's to fall in love with the journey. Because once you do that, the goal itself is not so important anymore. And very often we take exercising as an example, because a lot of people want to get, you know, they want to lose weight, or they want to do this or that, because there is something there. But it is embracing that, the fact that exercising makes us feel happier, makes us feel good, that we have to embrace, even if it might be hard when we do the exercise. Afterwards, we feel great. And that becomes part of our life and part of what we want for ourselves. So it's embracing the lifestyle that incorporates the journey towards the goal. But the goal is not important, because if it ends, then it's useless. It's the journey that goes on.
Birgitta, do you have a strategy or a tool or a piece of advice that you would give women right now that were on a healing journey?
I think there's a couple of things. Well, first of all, I think we've already said that. Understand that you're not alone. You're not the only one that's on that journey. So find people that are on that journey as well, or people that can help you, that are supportive of you on your journey. That's very important. Second of all, accept where you are. So be compassionate with yourself. Sometimes we can beat ourselves up because we do not make the progress, or we do not get at a point where we want to be fast enough. But I've learned over time that sometimes the tiniest change and the tiniest progress you make has an immense ripple effect, and will affect a lot a little bit later on. So to see the small things and be grateful for them.
Love it. Mary, how about you? Do you have any tools or strategies that you could recommend?
Oh, So many. I think it starts with being kind to yourself. Absolutely. Working out what it is that you personally need for your journey, for your healing. Some people need to talk it out. Some people need to just be quiet and do some tapping or some other sort of somatic type healings. Some people, need to get themselves into a position where they're giving to others. One of the things that I have noticed, and I must say this, it was really interesting because I was reading a study recently, and it backed up what I've noticed, and that is that money doesn't bring you happiness unless you're using it to help someone else. The thing that actually brings us happiness is helping someone else. So if we're able to help other people, we get gratification from that. We don't do it as a, I'm helping you, you have to say thank you. That's not how it works. We do it from a position of selflessness of I'm helping, and that's fine, and I don't expect or anticipate anything in return. And when that happens, you do find happiness that way. It is very comfortable. But if you do that to the detriment of self, if you give to the point where there's nothing left for you, that does not make you happy either. So it is finding that sweet spot, that sweet spot where you're doing the right amount to look after you, to make you feel like you're fulfilled, as well as the right amount to look after other people, so that you're getting the happiness that comes from that giving, that
Mary,
you give and that you receive.
Can I expand on that for a minute? I know that when I first started volunteer work, community work a long time ago, when I first started, I was I always thought, well, when is someone going to say thank you? And it didn't necessarily, and I wanted to help the community and I wanted to give everything. But in the back of my mind, there was always this, no one appreciates what I'm doing. And that happens sometimes in the household as well. How do you, and it took quite a while to go, I don't need that. This is not why I do that. But that's not the thought process at the beginning. And I see people give up. So what are some of the small things that you can do to, I guess, give without expectation?
It's a really good question, actually. For me, I mean, I can only talk from my own position. For me, just knowing that I've made a difference for someone, and just particularly, with our own healing journeys and recognizing where we've come from and where we are now, quite often it's when we look back, we're looking at someone is where we came from, is in that position where we were back then. And when we work with someone like that and give them what they need to help them step to a place where they get out of that pain, out of that space that they were in, it makes your journey worthwhile. And there's a deep sense of satisfaction and gratification in that, when you can actually appreciate the pain that you were in, the journey that you had, and the problems that you faced along the way, where instead of feeling, poor me, I had all this stuff that happened, you feel, wow, what a gift that was. What a gift that was. I mean, I also had a journey with leukemia. I still have a chronic form of leukemia. And that I always look back at that as one of the biggest gifts I ever got, because it was in that space where finally, after having sat in the space of I don't really want to be here for quite a few years, when I got that diagnosis, that was the moment when I went, hell no, I want to live. I want to die. I want to live. And it turned everything around for me. It was like someone flicked a switch in my head. And I look at that as such a gift. There are so many other parts of my life that I look at now as a gift, because the wisdom that I've gained through that journey are the things that I now am able to help other people with. And that just makes it all worthwhile. It makes everything, gives everything purpose and reason, and makes you go, yeah, it's good. It's good that happened. And it's good that I was able to do that. And it feels great. And if you do it from that point of not wanting validation from others, but doing what works for you, then I think that's what's more important.
I think what I've taken away from that is the way to start is not just to say, I'm going to give and go and start somewhere. It's got to be something that resonates with you, that really aligns with you, and that will fill your cup.
And
And I
comes
think
from a
that when
space of
you,
gratitude
Mm.
as well. When we come from a space of gratitude rather than a space of, I'm expecting someone else to give me gratitude, we're grateful ourselves that we have the opportunity to do this for somebody. Then you don't wait for gratitude from someone else.
yeah, great. Thank you. Nikki, do you have any tools or strategies that you could let us know about that might be helpful to women on a healing journey?
It's so different for every single person, and like I said, I think these amazing ladies here on the screen just sum things up so perfectly. I'm not a wordsmith, but the way that you put it, it's so true. Like I'm really, really grateful. Grateful is just a huge word for me. So I think no matter where you are in your life, if you can find some like little inner peace or some little piece of hope or resilience, I always lead forward with love and kindness. I have a shirt on me, which is love hugs. So for me, no matter where I am in my life, or no matter how I feel, if I lead forward with love and kindness, then in my world or my bubble, everything's got to be okay.
That's beautiful. Nikki, when you say you lean forward with love and kindness, how can you help other people do that? What is it that you could say to them or help them with in order to recognize that in themselves so that they can do that too, so that it's possible for everyone?
Yeah, I think loving yourself is actually a really hard thing to do. But I think you just got to peel off all the layers and go back to, I can't even say back to your values, because sometimes the values that you were given as a child are not the right values. So I think the older we get, you find what works for you and then build on that. And so I don't know, everything just has to come from love and kindness, because that's the only way we have to go forward. Our world is so strange out there at the moment. Like every day, I haven't owned a television since 2016, and I choose not to. But other people tell me what's going on in the world, which I wish that they wouldn't, because it just takes me down a rabbit hole. So I don't know, just I guess like from peeling back and literally giving everything up and not having any expectations, not having anybody telling me what to do, and just being kind to myself, then I've been able to find that love. And I think that's what I would say to them. Like it's not as easy as what it sounds, but it should be as easy as what it sounds. I mean, like leading forward with love and kindness, oceans of love and kindness should be very, very easy. I mean,
Well,
I've
look, there's
even
a
got
key
it tattooed
word.
here, oceans of love
Yeah.
and kindness. It's
There's a key word, isn't there? Oceans. If
Mhm.
that's what brings you
Mhm.
joy and peace,
Mhm.
go to the ocean, look for the water.
Yeah.
Me, I need to walk in the grass with my shoes off.
There you
Love
go.
it.
Grounding. Yeah, that's it. Find your thing. It's different for everybody, but find your thing. My block of land that I bought, I went and painted love hearts on all of the trees. And then I would hug the trees, because I was so grateful that I have these beautiful trees. Some of those trees had to be removed, and I really, really struggled with that. So I had to give them all the love in the world to know that those trees are now actually what's keeping me warm, because I'm now using them as firewood. So it's very basic in the world of Nikki at the moment, guys. It's very grounded. It's very basic.
Beautiful. Angela, how about you? Strategies, tools. What would you say to women that are on a healing journey right now?
I think we've really touched on a lot of it. I think that the self-compassion, which is what Birgitta said, it's like it really starts with self-compassion, because And it starts with also like, it's okay wherever we're at. Like, we don't have to be perfect. So if I'm suffering right now, that's okay. Like, you know, I don't have to pretend to be something I'm not, or, you know, it's like, it's almost like sitting in the uncomfortable. It's like, if we can just sit in the uncomfortable and be okay with where we are right then and there, then I think that that's a big step forward. Because I know that in acute suffering times in my life, I was not able to do that. Like, I turned to, you know, sex, and, you know, I found it hard to be with myself. You know, it was like I'm always looking outside of myself rather than looking, you know, in myself. And so I think that's a big thing that I've learned over the years, is how to be in that space of sitting the uncomfortable. And just that self-compassion, and actually asking myself, what do I need? What is it that I need? And, you know, and then just see what comes up, you know, what do I need? And mostly the answer will emerge, you know, from whatever circumstance I'm in. There's going always to be something that I could self-soothe myself with, because that was also something I had no clue how to do. I used to go and see psychologists, and they used to say, you've got no clue how to self-soothe. And I'm like, yes, I have no clue what that means.
You know, I think we've talked about some amazing things here today. We've got some incredible strategies. You women are just amazing people. Nikki said before that, you know, that everyone has, I think you labeled it wordsmith. I think everyone here, when they're comfortable and they're sitting in their space, you just become your own wordsmith, don't you? Because they're your words. It comes from the heart. And I want to thank you all for the conversation, and for the messages, for the information you've shared with us today. To finish off, and I'd like to start with you, Nikki, just in 30 seconds, tell us what it is that you do and how people can get in touch with you.
So me, DV Safe Phone. So
Yeah.
DV Safe Phone is a not-for-profit that essentially gives old working mobile phones to domestic violence victims and victim survivors across Australia through DV agencies, police force, safe houses and hospitals. So if you have an old working mobile phone anywhere in your drawer, and telcos tell us that there's 2.23 million phones in people's drawers, please reach out to us, dvsafephone.org. So then you can potentially support a life of a domestic violence victim survivor through having a safe phone to call for help, connect with loved ones, and connect with frontline services so they can move forward through their journey.
Beautiful. Thank you. Mary.
So I work in the space of leadership. I help people step into their ability as a leader through coaching and mentoring. And I also help them establish themselves to be known within their industry as a leader through publishing memoir, self-help, and business IP books, so intellectual property type books. Optimalcoaching.com.au is my website, and you can get hold of me through my contact form there. Optimal Life Solutions is actually the name of the business.
Thank you. Birgitta.
Well, I work in the space of leadership as well, and I help leaders that are already in a leadership role. I help them to become more authentic by recognizing, becoming more aware of how they're being, how they're acting. And I do that through self-leadership in the first place. So looking at themselves, creating more awareness, so that once they have that, they can also reach out and be more of service to the people they are working with, and become greater in what they do and get more impact. And if you want to know more about me, then The name of my business is The Smartest Path, so you can reach me there.
Thank you. Angela.
Yes, so obviously I'm the founder of She Simply Impacts. So I, join our community. That's why we're here, so that we can build relationships with you all and you can see who we are, what we, what we think, what we stand for. And so my email is hello@shesimply.com. You can sign up for $7 for the free trial. That would be amazing. And then you get to work with Mary, Sabine, Birgitta, myself.
And it is an amazing organisation. Thank you for starting that organisation, Angela. And I'm Sabine. I have a business called She Momentum. I'm a business coach and I work with women that are in their 40s, 50s or above that are starting businesses that are wanting to find that independence for themselves in life. So I help them get their businesses going and support them to do that. And that's me, She Momentum. Ladies, I want to thank you all for coming, for being here today, and for sharing your wisdom. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, everyone. Thanks so much.